Spider-Man and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar.
Welcome to the wonderful world of dodgy movies and TV. I'm your host, Movie and TV Mistress. This isn't going to be a review. Well, kind of is a review, but it's also kind of a tribute to the man behind Marvel. And without Marvel, we wouldn't have Howard the Duck here. So, to Stan Lee, thank you for Howard the Duck, for Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, Deadpool, Wolverine, Captain America, Iron Man, all of them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how I first got introduced, before Howard, to Stan Lee and the characters of Marvel. So, okay, if you didn't know, I'm a child of the 80s. And the series that I grew up watching, well, didn't grow up watching, I watched it when I was very little. And I remember it fondly, and I think it's hilarious, is Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Now, it's a bit of a random show. It doesn't make sense. Peter Parker lives with his Aunt May, fine, and her living room can transform into like a special layer, like in the intro. That's a bit bizarre. He has housemates while he's with his Aunt May. One is called, one of the housemates is a girl with red hair. You'd think it was Mary Jane Watson, it's not. Her name is Angelica Jones, and her superhero name is Firestar. And then you have Bobby Drake. You might know Bobby Drake from X-Men and X-Men 2 and all those X-Men movies. He was the one that was getting it on with Rogue and then kissed Kitty Pryde. Really upset Rogue, you know, and then she decided to give up her powers. So, yeah, Bobby Drake is Ice Boy. Or Iceman, I think. And then you have Firestar. So, this was a 3-series, it ran for 3 seasons, it started in 1980, and Stan Lee narrated seasons 2 and 3. He then later went back and narrated series 1, which had previously been narrated by a guy called Dick Tufeld. But this was my first introduction to Stan Lee, and him saying things like "Nuff said," "Excelsior," and "True Believer." And then I would continue to watch Spider-Man throughout my childhood, and then in the 90s whenever he used to introduce and sometimes even appear in Spider-Man.
Reality? I'm a character in fiction? Yep, and I'm an actor who plays you on TV. But there's someone here I knew you had to meet. He's the man who created you for fans all over the world.
And I said to Jack, what if his skin turns green?
Excuse me. I'm looking for some guy named Stan Lee.
What? Spider-Man? Pam, hold my calls for a while. I think I've finally gone crazy. Oh, man! Wow! You know, Spidey, I've always wanted to experience real web-slinging.
And I've always wanted to be appreciated as a real hero. It seems you've made me into one. Thanks.
Hey, don't mention it. After saving all of reality, where do you go from here?
To find Mary Jane. My Mary Jane. I've been told she's still alive. I can't wait to see her. You know, for so long, I've thought that I never got any breaks. But now, after all I've been through, for once, I like my life. I like myself. And for the first time ever, I wouldn't want to change anything about me.
Gee, you're definitely not the same guy I've been writing about all these years.
Well, Stan, we all have to grow up sometime, I suppose. Even us characters of fiction.
Spider-Man, it's time to go.
Who is that exotic lady?
Oh, her? Now, she's my ride. It's been great meeting you. Take care of yourself.
You too, Spider-Man. Farewell and good luck. Wow, I wonder how I'm supposed to get down from here. I suppose I could wait for the Fantastic Four to drop by and give me a lift.
That's Stan Lee. He's quite a guy.
I think he's truly special.
Well, Madam Webb, where to now?
Face front, true believer.
Now this show also got linked to the Incredible Hulk cartoon series, which I also do remember watching, but I really enjoyed this. I just loved the fact that Iceman would like shoot a sheet of ice. I know Disney now owns Marvel, but they pretty much copied this when they made the first Incredibles movie with Frozone doing this, but this was done back in the 80s, and Bobby Drake shooting ice, being all ice, and yet, I mean, when I was a bit confused by the Silver Surfer, so at one point I wasn't sure if it was the Silver Surfer or Iceman. But yeah, Bobby Drake. And then you've got Firestar. Now, I didn't know her as Firestar because I could never remember her name. As a kid, I was very, whatever. And I have the same problem with the Human Torch as a child. So both these characters, when I was a kid, became known as Flame Boy and Flame Girl. Yeah, that's how I described them. Look, it's Flame Girl. And it's Flame Boy. I still kind of refer to the Human Torch as Flame Boy, especially when it was Chris Evans. Flame Boy! Yeah. But this was the show that introduced me to superheroes, and then I went back and we ended up getting copies of old 60s versions of Spider-Man and Captain America where the animation didn't move. But this is actually, unfortunately, not as well remembered as the other Spider-Man cartoons that came before and after it. I think because it's a bit odd that he's sharing his aunt's house with two other people, and the living room can be transformed into like a computer placey thing, things flitch over, and Aunt May doesn't know what's going on. Aunt May never knows what's going on, but I think she probably does. She just acts stupid. I don't know. I hope she acts stupid the same way that I hope Lois Lane acts stupid, because how can you not recognise Clark Kent is Superman? I know Christopher Reeve did a really good job of making you doubt whether or not that was the same person, but come on, just look at the face. I'm not wearing glasses at the minute, but I normally do wear glasses. Do I look different? Oh yeah, I know I'm dressed up as Princess Leia this month, but that doesn't mean, So, Stan Lee will always be remembered for bringing heroes and fun into comics. I'm not saying that there's no fun in DC, but they are a bit dark. And Superman's okay, and there is a bit of fun in that, but I don't feel as much comedy in their shows. I mean, I watched Batman growing up, and Mark Hamill as the Joker, but there was something fun about Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. There was something fun about the X-Men in the 90s. True, it got a bit dark on occasion, and it treated kids with respect. None of the shows that were based on Stan Lee's and Marvel's characters ever talked down to kids. They treated kids with the respect that they deserve, which is kids will get it if they need to get it. So I'm sorry that he's gone. I'm glad he lived a long and happy life, and I'm glad I got to see him in person in Toronto. I'm glad I got to see him in all these movies and in TV shows, and I'm glad he even had a crossover with DC's Teen Titans Go movie this year. So he's had a good life, and considering he survived the war and he was part of that, what can you do but be happy for him, and be happy for us that we had somebody who was a true believer. But I will always remember him saying Excelsior, and thankfully when I ever go back to Universal Studios, I will ride the Spider-Man ride and enjoy all the little Easter eggs of Stan Lee. And I just remember the first time I rode that, and his little narration at the end. So we've still got all that, and we've still got Captain Marvel and his cameo in that, and the last Avengers movie to come out, and he's already done that, so I'm looking forward to seeing those. But if you get a chance, do check out Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Yes, it was Marvel's response or another network's response to Super Friends, you know, Superman and Batman and all those lot. But this one was just pure fun and a bit ridiculous. And Firestar was a brand new character created just for the show because they couldn't get the right to have the Human Torch from Fantastic Four in the show. So yeah, it should have been 3 blokes sharing an apartment with Aunt May. Sounds a bit dodgy, really. And I was always confused, as I said, by Angelica Jones' character, because I always thought that, what, did Mary Jane become superhero person? Because it was either Firestar or Mary Jane. That was how I saw it, because they looked the same. But please, remember Stan Lee fondly, and if you get a chance, check out this series. There's 3 seasons of it. It's silly and fun, and to quote the man himself again, Excelsior. Bye, folks.
You know, I guess one person can make a difference. Enough said.